Hello, everyone. Here we are in the Lighthouse Ghosts and Legends book by Nina Kasopoulos, and this is the very last story. And it's called, appropriately, There Are No Happy Endings. This is the Wood Island Light, Biddeford Pool, Maine. That's the lighthouse. It's featured in this story. Okay. The dark and choppy waters off Biddeford Pool, Maine were once ideal for fishing. An abundance of lobster, mackerel, and herring brought an influx of fishermen into the area, but turbulent waters and vicious storms were ever present. Even with the lighthouse, constructed in 1808, Biddeford Pool has remained an unpredictable and dangerous area. Voracious storms have slammed ships into the rocks and killed everyone on board. At times, the lighthouse keeper or the warning light could do nothing to save a ship blown off course by the area's notoriously tempestuous weather. In the past, such weather has made trips inland impossible. If, for example, there was an emergency at the light and someone needed to see a doctor, life and death depended entirely on the weather. This was the case in 1960 when Coast Guardsman Laurier Burnham was tending the light without an assistant. His 2-year-old daughter, Tammy, became extremely ill. He knew he had to get her to the mainland, but with no one to take over the lighthouse, he was forced to call on the Coast Guardsman at the Fletcher Neck lifeboat station. Shortly after his call, 2 Coast Guardsmen arrived and took the child into their boat. The waters that day were turbulent, and before the men knew it, their small boat had capsized. One man was able to grab hold of the boat and stay afloat, but the other, Edward Svinsky, was swept out to sea with the baby in his arms. The Coast Guard searched for an hour before giving up, agreeing both their friend and the keeper's daughter were lost at sea. Burnham wasn't prepared to give up that easily. Despite orders to remain in the lighthouse, he left the tower unmanned and climbed aboard his own boat to search for his missing daughter. Against all odds, he finally found the 2 castaways near one of the neighboring islands, wearied from exhaustion but still alive. Turning his daughter over to another Coast Guard vessel, Burnham returned to the light. Little did he know the ordeal wasn't over. Unbelievably, the second boat had trouble as well, and the crew was forced to turn the sick child over to a local lobsterman named Preston Alley. It was he who finally delivered Tammy Burnham to the Biddeford Pool Hospital. In 1993, Tammy's father, Edward Svinsky, and Preston Alley were recognized by the South Portland Coast Guard Station for their extraordinary heroism. Unfortunately, not all of the island's tales end so happily. Locals believe the island is haunted by the ghost of a man who committed a brutal murder at the end of the 19th century. According to a local tale, a 25-year-old drifter came to the island and built a small shack on its western side. Easily bored with the calm of the island life, he frequently visited the mainland's local pubs, where he drank himself into a stupor. One afternoon, the deputy sheriff came upon the young man in the street. The youth had just returned from a trip inland, drunk and belligerent. He wandered aimlessly and carried a long rifle. The lawman asked him to release his grip on the gun, but the young man refused. Then, without provocation, he shot the deputy sheriff in the gut and fled. In a daze, the young man stumbled into the lighthouse. There the keeper, Thomas Orcutt, questioned him and discovered what he'd done. Dutifully, the young drifter had reported his actions. He'd killed a man in cold blood. Orcutt knew the deputy that the boy had killed, but he managed to remain calm. He insisted that the boy return to the mainland immediately and turn himself in to the police. The drifter agreed to do just that, but in truth he had other things in mind. He left Orcutt, returned to his shack, and shot and unalived himself. Since the murder-suicide, islanders have felt an eerie presence. Window shades are raised and lowered, locked doors unlock themselves and swing open, and open doors swing shut. And locals have reported hearing a medley of unexplainable sounds. The lighthouse keepers claim that the ghost lives with them. Perhaps the restless spirit of the troubled young drifter finds solace in the dwelling of his only confidant, keeper, Thomas Orcutt. Wood Island Light is located in the mouth of the Saco River near Biddeford Pool, Maine. The lighthouse is listed on the National Historic Register and still serves as an active navigational aid. Accessible only by boat, Wood Island now serves as a wildlife sanctuary. The lighthouse is visible from the Biddeford Pool Trail, which is an Audubon Society trail on the mainland. A dock and boardwalk are open to visitors, however, the tower is not. The lighthouse is managed by the Wood Inland Lighthouse Society, and more information on how to contact them. Okay, so that was our last little story. And so the sketching begins. Since he's thought to be haunting the island, I will just draw the lighthouse and the ghostly figure near it the best that I can. Here we go. Let's get you down there to the paper a little bit and see what we can do. This is the lighthouse I'm drawing. Let's see here. And then we'll come up a little bit here. And this is the light. Okay, we'll put a window here. And we'll put a window down below here. I think you know what I'm going to add? Little shades in there. This one's halfway up. This one's almost down. There we go. Okay. I don't even know. I'm not really drawing. I know it's really bad of me, but I'm not really drawing the one that's depicted. Should be, but I'm not. It's close to it though. This is the keeper's dwelling here. This is the back of the house here. Okay. And then I'm going to draw going off the edge there. This is the beach area. This is the water. And a little bit of fenced area here. Let's just draw this ominous figure. Actually, I want to kind of darken the skies a little bit up here. Alright, that's the water. The water's the edge. Now, let me get to drawing the spooky figure. Doesn't really say what they look like they're wearing when they see this person. So I'm just gonna go by what I think. I'm gonna get tiny here. This is that guy who killed the sheriff or the lawman, whatever. I don't remember exactly what he was. And we'll come in with the blender tool. Let's see what we can do with this. I lost my big thick blender tool. I don't know what the heck. I just had it yesterday, and now today it's MIA. But you know, we have kitty cats, so it could be anywhere. They like to take stuff for, like, play hockey with it or soccer or whatever you want to call it. And then you're lucky if you can ever find it again. I think I'm obsessed with these suckers. I've never ever used them before, but man, they sure do add a spooky vibe when you do blend. I'm all about the spooky. It's like it like blends out, softens the lines that you make. Okay, we'll do a little bit over here. I don't know, maybe somebody else knows how to sharpen these things, or I was using a piece of sandpaper to kind of take off the edges. This one isn't as pointy anymore, so I'm not quite sure how to get to that point. And see, any extra stuff I have on there, I can just bring down and put in other places. And look, see, I just carried that from the ghost up here to the it's awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so there's our little cartoony thing, but there's the ghost that haunts the island. Okay, so once again, I thank you guys for coming along on this lighthouse ghost story journey. Please give a like if you like this content, and subscribe, because I'm going to have other different things, different books, and I do other things too. I do some sketching and prompt sketching and whatever. So if you like it, hang around, subscribe, give me a try, and I hope to see everyone in the next video. Bye bye for now.